So, whispers running through the timeline are telling us that Chrisean Rock may have finally been caught inside the one storm she cannot spin, cannot livestream over, and cannot pray away. Chatter making the rounds is claiming that Chrisean Rock did not just drink and party her way through a high-risk pregnancy, she allegedly ignored a doctor's warning that would have changed her son's entire life, and the receipts are now dropping in real time. Honey, this is not a rumor cycle anymore. This is a full-blown crisis, and Chrisean Rock is standing at the center of it with a live stream light in her face and a toddler crying behind her. If even half of what has been alleged in the last 72 hours turns out to be true, then Chrisean Rock is not going to walk out of this news cycle the same person she walked into it as, and neither is her fanbase. And before anybody clutches their pearls and tells me to slow down, understand this. Everything you are about to hear is coming straight from the mouths of the people closest to Chrisean Rock, her own sister Tranche, Blueface's mother Karlissa, the internet's collective medical report screenshots, and Chrisean Rock herself on her own lives contradicting her own timelines. Nobody is making this up. The pattern is the receipt. Sis, buckle up, because this next part is heavier than anything we've ever covered on Chrisean Rock, and the deeper we dig the harder it becomes to keep pretending this is just another chapter in her Drama of the Week rotation. This one is different. This one has a name attached, and that name is Junior. The bomb that lit the sky went off when Karlissa, who has been circling Chrisean Rock for years like a hawk that already knows where the nest is, went scorched earth on a live stream and delivered a monologue nobody has been able to unhear since. Karlissa did not raise her voice like a woman losing her composure. She lowered it like a woman finally done pretending. She looked into the camera and told Chrisean Rock she was embarrassed, that Chrisean Rock did this to her own son, that Chrisean Rock smoked and drank through her pregnancy and this was the outcome, and if Chrisean Rock wanted to be mad at anybody it needed to be a mirror. Karlissa said, in plain English, that Chrisean Rock was a horrible pregnancy and is now, in her opinion, a horrible mother. Phew. That is a sentence that lands like a slap and stays there. That is a sentence that does not blow away with the next news cycle. Karlissa did not stop at the emotional part. She rolled the receipts. She said the best thing Chrisean Rock could do right now is get counseling, get Junior into physical therapy, get him the developmental support she has been dodging, and stop treating her son's condition like a public relations problem she can smile through on a Twitch stream. And then Karlissa dropped the line that split the internet in half. She said Chrisean Rock had chlamydia during delivery, that her maternal instincts did not kick in, that the nurses told her the risks, that they offered a C-section to protect Junior, and that Chrisean Rock refused because she did not want a scar on her tattoo. Sis. Read that back to yourself slowly. A tattoo. A tattoo over her own baby's safety. If that allegation ever holds up under scrutiny, there is no PR firm on earth that will scrub it off her name. Now let me pull the camera back, because you cannot understand how ugly this got without understanding the timeline. Chrisean Rock has been in a slow-motion collision with reality for a long time, and Karlissa has been calling the crash from a mile away. Months before any of this chlamydia talk broke the surface, Chrisean Rock sat down on camera and told the world that she would rather send Junior to church to receive prayers than take him to a specialist. She said she does not believe her son is disabled. She said his delays are simply him growing at his own pace. She said God gave her a revelation about it. And when the internet gasped, Chrisean Rock doubled down and said her son is developing on his own timing and hitting his milestones at his own rhythm. She said every child is different. She said she is confident in his growth. She said the internet does not know what it is talking about. That is a beautiful sentence in a vacuum. But we are not in a vacuum. We are in a room with medical records, with public live streams, with a father who was locked up, with a grandmother screaming into the void, and with a toddler who cannot yet defend himself. And that is why this moment feels so different. Chrisean Rock is not just fighting critics anymore. Chrisean Rock is fighting the paperwork. Chrisean Rock is fighting her own sister. Chrisean Rock is fighting her son's father. Chrisean Rock is fighting the medical community. And Chrisean Rock is fighting a fanbase that, for the first time, is beginning to whisper the sentence she never expected to hear from them, maybe Karlissa is right. Enter Karlissa, who watched Chrisean Rock post a shaky apology set to soft piano music and refused to accept it. Karlissa said the apology was theatrical, that the piano was doing more work than the words, and that if this is the best Chrisean Rock can do, then Karlissa will take it because it confirms exactly what she has been saying. She said Chrisean Rock is a woman who redirects that same powerful tongue back at the people trying to save her son. She said Chrisean Rock assumes, invents, and performs, but does not act. She said one of the kings of this culture, and she means Blueface, is being blamed for a disability nobody has clinically confirmed on air, and the fingers should be pointing in a very different direction. Karlissa said if that is the best apology Chrisean Rock could put together, then thank her, because it proved every single word of the warning Karlissa gave 2 years ago. And then Karlissa struck the match that lit the whole forest. Karlissa alleged, on record, that when Chrisean Rock was 5 months pregnant, her doctors already knew Junior was going to need extra support. Karlissa said the amniocentesis results told the whole story. Karlissa said Chrisean Rock ignored her, that Chrisean Rock's fans convinced her the warnings were hate, and that Chrisean Rock let the window for early intervention slam shut. Karlissa said, plainly, that no one is to blame but the mother who chose to ignore the science and listen to the comment section instead. Karlissa said this the way a woman says something when she has already lost the argument in private and has nothing left to lose in public. Now peep this next part, because this is where the story crosses from gossip into something that will follow Chrisean Rock the rest of her life. Junior's alleged medical documents leaked online, and the internet did what the internet always does, screenshot, zoomed in, and cross-referenced. According to those alleged reports, Junior is dealing with a stack of developmental and health issues that specialists, in general, associate with maternal smoking and drinking during pregnancy. Now, nobody online is qualified to diagnose that child through a phone screen. We are not doctors. But we are witnesses to public behavior. And Chrisean Rock's public behavior with her son has been, quite honestly, terrifying, and the longer that behavior stays public the harder it becomes for even the softest defender of Chrisean Rock to pretend they did not see it. Chrisean Rock has repeatedly gone live with Junior sitting in a stroller, on a bed, on a hip, while she yells into the camera about Blueface, about Jaidyn Alexis, about strangers, about anybody. Viewers have watched Junior cry on those lives while Chrisean Rock kept the microphone rolling. Viewers have watched Junior reach for something and get ignored. Viewers have watched Junior need attention that never came because Chrisean Rock's algorithm was heating up. And when the internet spoke on it, Chrisean Rock accused everybody of hating her son instead of asking why the pattern kept repeating. Every single time. Same room. Same phone. Same little boy in the background. Same excuse afterward. And then came the Twitch moment that made grown women log off and call their own mothers. Chrisean Rock was live streaming on Twitch, arguing with Blueface on the phone, and Junior was outside in a stroller while the son was doing what the son does in the middle of a hot day. He started to cry from the heat. Viewers heard it. Viewers watched it. Instead of ending the call, Chrisean Rock told a member of her crew to handle it while she kept arguing. Mass reports flooded in. The stream got yanked. The account got banned. And Chrisean Rock, of course, went live the very next day insisting she did not leave her child in any car, insisting Junior was outside surrounded by people, insisting she had a full support system with Pastor Mike, Tranche, and others always ready to step in. Sis, surrounded by people, is not a defense when the baby is crying and the mother is arguing. That is the whole point. A mother is not one of 10 interchangeable adults. A mother is the one adult who is supposed to stop the call. Chrisean Rock did not stop the call. Chrisean Rock finished the argument. Chrisean Rock kept the audience. Chrisean Rock kept the numbers going up. And Junior kept crying in the background of a live stream tens of thousands of strangers were watching in real time. And this is not the first time Chrisean Rock has been dragged into the CPS conversation. Junior was born with a hernia. Blueface himself has said, publicly, that Chrisean Rock kept pushing back the appointments. Blueface said he flew out thinking the surgery was finally happening, and Chrisean Rock had missed the date entirely. Blueface has called her unfit on camera. Blueface has said she has been pushing surgery back so she could do what she wanted to do that week. That is not a random op on the internet. That is Junior's father. That is the man whose name is on the paperwork. Now let me be honest with you the way I am always honest with you. Blueface is not exactly a candidate for Father of the Year, and we are going to circle back to why that actually strengthens this story instead of weakening it. But first, let me hand the microphone to Tranche, because Tranche is the person who took this from tabloid to timeline shattering, and Tranche is not a woman who talks unless she has already thought about what happens when she stops. Tranche is Chrisean Rock's own sister. Tranche watched Chrisean Rock grow up. Tranche knows the medical history, knows the hospital rooms, knows what the nurses said, and knows what Chrisean Rock refused. And when Chrisean Rock and Tranche got into a nasty falling out over unpaid babysitting money, Tranche did what the internet had been begging someone in that family to do for 3 years. Tranche went live and told the entire truth from her own perspective. Tranche did not do it for clout. Tranche did not do it for money. Tranche did it because she said she had to clear her name with CPS after Chrisean Rock allegedly dragged her into a false story. According to Tranche, when Chrisean Rock was giving birth to Junior, Chrisean Rock was allegedly dealing with a chlamydia flare-up. Tranche said the doctors flagged it. Tranche said the medical team recommended a C-section to protect the baby from being exposed as he passed through the birth canal. Tranche said Chrisean Rock refused. Tranche said her sister looked at the medical team, looked at the risk, looked at what a scar would mean for her tattoo, and chose the tattoo. That is Tranche's account. Not Karlissa's. Tranche's. Her own blood. Tranche did not read it in a comment section. Tranche said she was in the room. Tranche kept going. Tranche asked Chrisean Rock, Liv, why her maternal instincts did not kick in the moment the nurses walked in and asked to speak with her privately. Tranche said Chrisean Rock refused to even hear the conversation. Tranche said Chrisean Rock told the medical team to just proceed the way she wanted. Tranche said she was in the room. Tranche said she saw it. Tranche said this is not something the internet made up in a comment section, this is something the family has been carrying quietly for 3 years, waiting for the moment Chrisean Rock would finally take accountability, and instead, Chrisean Rock only escalated. Tranche said Chrisean Rock played with the wrong household. Tranche said Chrisean Rock let her emotions and her substances rewire her brain. And Tranche, to her credit, closed her monologue with grace. Tranche said she loves Junior. Tranche said Junior is special, that Junior is loved, that Junior is not the problem. Tranche said the only person she has an issue with is Chrisean Rock, and specifically the version of Chrisean Rock who plays with her nieces and nephews, drags her household on camera, and refuses to answer for what the medical team recommended in that delivery room. Tranche said, and I want you to hear this the way she said it, that Chrisean Rock let her emotions and her substances rewire her brain, and now she thinks the wreckage is cool. Tranche said the karma of every action Chrisean Rock has taken is already on its way, and that Chrisean Rock should be careful about the reactions she keeps inviting. Wait for it, because Jaidyn Alexis then poured gasoline on the fire. Jaidyn Alexis, in a separate interview, said she had also heard through her own channels that Chrisean Rock was dealing with a sexually transmitted infection around the time of Junior's birth. Jaidyn Alexis said Chrisean Rock gave birth through the canal. Jaidyn Alexis said she believes it happened during the delivery, not before it. Jaidyn Alexis's phrasing was quiet, almost matter-of-fact, and that is what made it land like a hammer. Because when Karlissa says something, the internet expects a scene. When Tranche says something, the internet expects family drama. But when Jaidyn Alexis says it in that soft, low, I heard the same thing, voice, the story stops sounding like a feud and starts sounding like a consensus. And a consensus is the one thing Chrisean Rock has never had to fight before. And a consensus is exactly what makes this next part unignorable. Here is what actually happens, medically, when an untreated chlamydia infection is present during vaginal delivery. Newborns can be exposed as they pass through the birth canal. That exposure can affect the eyes. It can affect the lungs. It can affect the breathing. It can, if left untreated, produce longer-term consequences including vision damage. This is not a kiki opinion. This is the general medical picture, and it is why obstetricians, when they know about an active infection, will often recommend a C-section specifically to reduce that exposure risk. That is the exact recommendation that was allegedly made to Chrisean Rock. And that is the exact recommendation Chrisean Rock allegedly refused. That is not a small detail. That is the whole story compressed into a single sentence. Now let me tell you why the internet lost its mind when the pool video hit the timeline. Chrisean Rock, apparently forgetting that the entire planet is currently studying her parenting choices under a microscope, hopped in a pool with Junior. No arm floaties. No specialist consultation. No visible caution for a toddler whose alleged medical file already lists concerns most parents would treat as non-negotiable. Chrisean Rock dunked her son under the water for the viewers. Karlissa saw it and detonated. Karlissa said, in her own words, that if that was her grandbaby, there is absolutely no way that child would be in that water without arm floaties, because it does not matter how well a mother can swim. A mother can have a medical emergency. A mother can slip. A mother can be distracted by the phone she is streaming from. And a baby who cannot swim does not get a second chance. Not one. Not ever. That live stream is the moment the timeline turned on Chrisean Rock in a new way. Because up until then, a huge portion of Chrisean Rock's fanbase had been running interference for her. Any critic was a hater. Any concern was jealousy. Any suggestion of therapy was disrespect. But the pool moment was too visceral to spin. You cannot filter a screaming baby. You cannot narrate over a wet toddler. You cannot live stream your way out of a video that 100,000 strangers already downloaded. That video is not going anywhere. That video is going to be pulled up in every future interview Chrisean Rock ever sits for. And that is when Karlissa took to Instagram again and started reading Chrisean Rock down to the last vowel. Karlissa said Chrisean Rock knew at 5 months pregnant that Junior was going to need extra support. Karlissa said Chrisean Rock chose to ignore it. Karlissa said Chrisean Rock's fanbase convinced her the doctors were hating. Karlissa said, and this is the line that will follow Chrisean Rock into every interview from here forward, that Chrisean Rock has done more damage to her own son than any op on the internet ever could. Karlissa said the love a mother has for her child should overshadow the title of the disability. Karlissa said if there is a diagnosis, work with it. Karlissa said the effort of faith should be evident. Karlissa said faith without works is dead. Karlissa said stop listening to crazy people online who tell you your child is fine when the medical team is telling you he needs help. Now here comes the reframe you did not know you needed. Blueface has said Chrisean Rock is unfit. Blueface has said Chrisean Rock keeps missing Junior's appointments. Blueface has said Chrisean Rock does not want a scar. And every time Blueface has said any of it, the internet has rolled its eyes because, honestly, Blueface is not the moral authority he thinks he is. This is the man who filmed his own mother getting knocked down by a girlfriend. This is the man who publicly humiliated his sons on Christmas morning. This is the man who has been in and out of custody, in and out of relationships, in and out of headlines for reasons that would embarrass a saint. So when Blueface said Chrisean Rock was neglecting Junior, a huge chunk of the audience said, well, look who is talking. And for a while, that dismissal worked. For a while, Chrisean Rock was able to hide behind Blueface's reputation. But when Karlissa says it, and Tranche says it, and Jaidyn Alexis says it, and the alleged medical reports say it, and the live streams themselves say it, a pattern starts to form that no amount of anti-Blueface energy can dissolve. This is not a Blueface problem anymore. This is a Chrisean Rock problem. And Chrisean Rock is the only person who can either fix it or keep making it worse, and right now, as it stands, Chrisean Rock is choosing worse. Chrisean Rock is choosing the phone over the appointment. Chrisean Rock is choosing the fanbase over the family. Chrisean Rock is choosing the argument over the ambulance. Sis, let me sit with you here for a moment, because I know some of you are frustrated by how deep we are going into a woman who is genuinely young, genuinely traumatized, and genuinely in over her head. I hear you. I feel you. Chrisean Rock did not grow up in a house that taught her the tools she needs right now, and that matters. Chrisean Rock has been used, on camera and off, by more grown men than any woman her age should ever have to deal with, and that matters too. But none of that trauma sits inside Junior's body. Junior does not know his mother is famous. Junior does not know his mother has a fan base. Junior does not know his mother is at war with his grandmother. Junior only knows whether he is comfortable, whether he is fed, whether he is being helped, and whether the adult in front of him is holding a phone or holding him. Right now, too many of those answers are pointing in the wrong direction. And that is why this scandal is different from every other Chrisean Rock scandal we have covered on this channel. This one is not about a fight. This one is not about a diss track. This one is not about a boxing match. This one is about a 3-year-old boy who did not get to choose his mother, did not get to choose his delivery method, did not get to choose whether he was exposed in the birth canal, and did not get to choose whether his physical therapy appointments happened on time or happened at all. Junior did not get a vote. Junior got Chrisean Rock. And Chrisean Rock is currently on a live stream fighting the messenger instead of reading the message. Now let me tell you what makes Karlissa's chlamydia claim different from every other reckless allegation the internet has hurled at Chrisean Rock. Karlissa is not a random blogger. Karlissa was Junior's paternal grandmother in the room and on the phone during the earliest weeks of that pregnancy. Karlissa had access to conversations Chrisean Rock cannot deny existed. Karlissa also predicted, on air, months before any of this went viral, that Chrisean Rock's refusal to get Junior into therapy would create a preventable ceiling on his development. And Karlissa, unfortunately, has been right about too many things too many times. Karlissa said Junior would be born with complications. Junior was born with a hernia. Karlissa said Chrisean Rock would skip appointments. Chrisean Rock has been publicly documented skipping appointments. Karlissa said the internet would eventually see what her family saw. The internet is seeing it right now. Karlissa said, in her own words, that Chrisean Rock's version of prayer is not prayer. Karlissa said that faith without works is dead. Karlissa said her own biological son, Jonathan, was once told he could not play sports because of an injury, and Karlissa did not skip a physical therapy appointment. Karlissa said they kept the faith and they kept the appointments. Karlissa said prayer does not replace paperwork. Karlissa said God gave doctors their hands for a reason. And Karlissa said Chrisean Rock has been using scripture as a spiritual bypass to avoid the hard work of raising a child with additional needs. That is a devastating framing. Because it takes away Chrisean Rock's last available shield. Chrisean Rock cannot say Karlissa is faithless. Chrisean Rock cannot say Karlissa does not understand. Chrisean Rock cannot say Karlissa is a hater. Karlissa is standing on the same Bible Chrisean Rock has been quoting on lives, and Karlissa is telling her the receipts do not match the scripture. And peep this, because it matters. Chrisean Rock's response to all of this has not been humility. It has not been reflection. It has not been a private call to Karlissa or to Tranche or to Junior's medical team. Chrisean Rock's response has been to reset the live stream, put on a fresh outfit, and record another explanation. Chrisean Rock said Junior does not have a disability. Chrisean Rock said Junior is developing at his own pace and hitting his milestones on his own timeline. Chrisean Rock said every child is different and she is confident in his growth. And in the abstract, none of those sentences are wrong. But in this specific case, every one of those sentences is being deployed to avoid the same appointment book, the same specialist visit, the same therapy schedule that Karlissa has been begging Chrisean Rock to honor since before Junior could walk. Chrisean Rock said she never claimed she had chlamydia. Chrisean Rock said nobody has confirmed that. Chrisean Rock said Karlissa is assuming, projecting, and stirring. Chrisean Rock said she has help. Chrisean Rock said she has Pastor Mike. Chrisean Rock said she has Tranche, which, given how Tranche went live to expose her, is a fascinating name to still drop. Chrisean Rock said she is not homeless, she is not broke, she is not without diapers, she is not without wipes, she is not without support. And every single one of those defenses is answering a question nobody in the medical thread was even asking. Nobody said Chrisean Rock was homeless. Nobody said Chrisean Rock did not have diapers. The question was whether Chrisean Rock refused a C-section against medical advice. The question was whether Chrisean Rock missed her son's therapy schedule. The question was whether Chrisean Rock has been treating a 3-year-old like a co-star in her live stream drama. Those are the questions. And Chrisean Rock keeps answering different ones. That is the pattern that has finally made Karlissa's monologue land. That is the pattern that pulled Tranche off the sidelines. That is the pattern that made Jaidyn Alexis, of all people, say the quiet part out loud in an interview. And that is the pattern that has the internet crossing a line it does not usually cross with Chrisean Rock, asking, in plain English, whether CPS has done enough, whether Junior has been evaluated by an independent specialist, and whether the adults around Chrisean Rock have been enabling her because of her fame instead of protecting her son because of her behavior. Now let me hit you with the part that will stay with you tonight. If you go frame by frame through Chrisean Rock's public timeline with Junior, you will see the same story on repeat. Chrisean Rock going live. Junior nearby. Chrisean Rock arguing with someone. Junior fussing. Chrisean Rock brushing it off. Comment section flooding with concern. Chrisean Rock accusing the comment section of hating her son. And then, a few days later, Chrisean Rock going live again with a completely new outfit and a completely fresh narrative, as if the last cycle never happened. That is not a co-parent problem. That is not a Blueface problem. That is a Chrisean Rock problem, and it is running on a loop that only Chrisean Rock has the keys to break. And here is what pulls it together. When you overlay Karlissa's monologue about the birth canal, Tranche's monologue about the refused C-section, Jaidyn Alexis's interview about the delivery infection, Blueface allegations about missed surgeries, and the alleged medical reports that leaked online, you do not get 5 different stories. You get one story told from 5 different rooms. That is what the internet is finally waking up to. Chrisean Rock is not being ganged up on. Chrisean Rock is being described, consistently, by people who have watched her from the closest possible seats. And when 5 people who do not like each other agree on the same version of events, you do not have a rumor. You have a receipt. Phew. Sis. Now listen. I am not here to sentence Chrisean Rock. I am not a court. I am not a doctor. I am not Junior's guardian. What I am is a person with a microphone who has watched the same little boy cry on the same live stream for 3 years while the internet has begged the adults around him to do something. And now that Karlissa has finally said the quiet part loud, and Tranche has finally corroborated it, and Jaidyn Alexis has finally echoed it, I refuse to be the one who tells you to look away. I refuse to be the voice that gives Chrisean Rock's fanbase permission to pretend the pattern is not the pattern. Here is what matters. Junior deserves an independent evaluation. Junior deserves consistent physical therapy. Junior deserves speech and developmental support if the medical team recommends it. Junior deserves a mother who ends the phone call when he starts to cry. Junior deserves a grandmother who is not being screamed at every time she tries to help. Junior deserves an aunt who does not have to go on Instagram Live just to be heard. And Junior deserves a father who shows up for the appointment, not just the internet drama around the appointment. Junior deserves the full weight of the adults in his life pointing in the same direction for the first time since the day he was born. Now let me tell you what Chrisean Rock deserves, because you know I keep it balanced on this channel. Chrisean Rock deserves compassion. Chrisean Rock deserves counseling. Chrisean Rock deserves a real support system, not a comment section. Chrisean Rock deserves professionals in her life who will not sell her story to a blog and who will not fear her fanbase. Chrisean Rock deserves people who will tell her the truth in private the way Karlissa has been forced to tell her the truth in public. And Chrisean Rock, most of all, deserves the chance to be the mother she keeps promising Junior she is. Because I do believe Chrisean Rock loves her son. I have never doubted that. What I have doubted, and what I still doubt, is whether Chrisean Rock knows what love looks like when it costs her a live stream. But none of that is possible if Chrisean Rock keeps treating every appointment as optional and every warning as an attack. None of that is possible if Chrisean Rock keeps handing Junior a live stream instead of a therapist. None of that is possible if Chrisean Rock cannot look at Karlissa's monologue, Tranche's monologue, Jaidyn Alexis's interview, and the alleged medical reports and say, out loud, on her own live, that she needs to sit down, take the phone off, and get her son evaluated the way 5 different people are begging her to. Not because the internet won. Not because Karlissa won. Not because Tranche won. Because Junior wins. Let me also address the part of this story that a lot of people do not want to talk about, because it's uncomfortable, and because it forces the audience to look at Chrisean Rock as more than a meme. Chrisean Rock is a young woman who has been publicly documented struggling with substances. Chrisean Rock has been publicly documented in situations where she has been hit, humiliated, and used. Chrisean Rock has been publicly documented losing rounds she should never have had to fight in the first place. And every single one of those documented moments is a data point that adults in her orbit should have been reading. Instead, those adults handed Chrisean Rock a bigger platform. Those adults handed Chrisean Rock a boxing career. Those adults handed Chrisean Rock more cameras. And now the same platform that made Chrisean Rock famous is the platform on which her son is being publicly harmed. That is not just a Chrisean Rock indictment. That is an industry indictment. But even that industry indictment does not release Chrisean Rock from the specific accountability she owes Junior. Because at some point, no matter how young you were when the machine chewed you up, if you become a mother, the machine stops being the excuse. Karlissa is telling Chrisean Rock the machine stops now. Tranche is telling Chrisean Rock the machine stops now. Jaidyn Alexis is telling Chrisean Rock, in that quiet way she has, that the machine stops now. And the only person still running the machine is Chrisean Rock herself, live from her own bedroom, phone in hand, Junior in the background, a whole timeline watching. So here is where I leave you. Which side of the fence are you actually on? Do you believe Karlissa and Terrine and Jaidyn Alexis when they say Chrisean Rock refused the C-section, ignored the doctors, and exposed Junior to something preventable? Or do you believe Chrisean Rock when she says every child is different, that Junior is on his own timeline, and that the entire internet has been playing telephone with a family it does not understand? Do you think CPS has done their job with Chrisean Rock, or has Chrisean Rock's fame quietly paused the accountability every other mother in America would have faced by now? And when you look at Blueface, do you see a father finally trying to show up, or do you see a man using Junior as a chess piece against the woman he can no longer control? Sit with it. Argue with it. Rewatch it. And then drop me a full sentence answer in the comments, because I read every one of them and I want to know exactly where you land on Chrisean Rock, on Karlissa, on Terrine, on Jaidyn Alexis, on Blueface, and on Junior, the one person in this entire storyline whose voice has been drowned out by everyone else's. Tell me who owes Junior an apology first. Tell me who owes Junior a phone call first. Tell me which adult in that room, on that stream, in that hospital, at that pool, in that hot car, has actually earned the right to still call themselves a caretaker. Let me leave you with one more thought before I send you into the comments section, because this is the sentence that has been sitting in my chest since I first watched Karlissa deliver that monologue. Chrisean Rock is not a monster. Chrisean Rock is a mirror. Chrisean Rock is what happens when an entire industry finds a girl with talent, with pain, with charisma, with no gatekeepers, and turns her into a product before she gets a chance to become a person. Chrisean Rock is what happens when a fanbase decides that loyalty means never asking hard questions. Chrisean Rock is what happens when the algorithm rewards escalation more than it rewards recovery. And Chrisean Rock is what happens when the only adult in the room with a clear head is the mother-in-law nobody wants to listen to, and by the time the room finally hears her, the child is already 3 years old and the receipts are already public. That is why this story matters beyond Chrisean Rock. That is why this story matters beyond Blueface. That is why this story matters beyond Karlissa and Terrine and Jaidyn Alexis. Because there are 1,000 other junior-sized boys and girls in 1,000 other rooms right now, with 1,000 other Chrisean Rocks holding the phone instead of holding them, and every single one of them deserves a Karlissa willing to say the ugly sentence out loud, a Terrine willing to walk into a live stream and lose her peace to save her nephew, a Jaidyn Alexis willing to whisper the truth in an interview, and a comment section willing to stop clapping for the wreck and start clapping for the rescue. Chrisean Rock still has time. Junior is 3. 3 is early. 3 is workable. 3 is a whole different life if the right adult chooses the right appointment on the right morning. But 3 is also the last easy on-ramp, and Chrisean Rock is spending it on a live stream fighting Karlissa instead of a therapist meeting with Junior. That is the tragedy underneath the tabloid. That is the sentence I hope Chrisean Rock hears the next time somebody who loves her plays this video for her without her phone in her hand. Before you go anywhere, click on the next video pinned to your screen, because we are pulling back the curtain on something Chrisean Rock and Blueface have been quietly praying you never connect the dots on, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Phew. Sis. Stay right here. This story is nowhere near finished, and Chrisean Rock has no idea what week 2 of this news cycle is about to look like. I will see you in the next one.